Have you ever blurted out words and immediately regretted them? Wishing you could turn back time? We've all experienced that moment when words fly out like arrows, impossible to retrieve. But imagine if you could master your speech, transforming each word into a reflection of wisdom, refinement, and inner strength. That's precisely the journey we'll embark on today. 6 things a wise person avoids, inspired by the timeless philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us that words are not merely sounds, but mirrors reflecting your soul and values. From eliminating meaningless boasting to embracing the power of silence, these principles not only shape how you communicate, but also define who you are. And the most wonderful part? By the end of this video, you'll grasp practical secrets to elevate your speech, whether at work, in life, or even in your inner dialogues. Get ready, because this isn't just about what you say, but about how your words sculpt your very being. Don't miss this journey of unlocking the power of speech. Number 1, avoid boasting about knowledge. Have you ever encountered someone who incessantly brags about their knowledge and achievements? They recount every detail they know, every lesson they've learned, even every book they devoured. Initially, you might be impressed, but gradually, that initial fascination turns into distance. Not because their knowledge lacks value, but because their manner of displaying it makes others feel overshadowed. Stoicism emphasizes that true wisdom needs no flaunting. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nature does not boast about what it creates, and neither should we be proud of our wisdom." This isn't just advice, it's a way of life. Let's listen to the story of John, a tech expert I once knew. In meetings or gatherings, John always tried to be the smartest person. He talked about his major projects, complex technologies, and prestigious awards. Initially, people were drawn in, but gradually, they felt John was turning every conversation into a personal lecture. One day, a colleague frankly told him that while his knowledge was impressive, his way of sharing it alienated others. That was John's turning point when he realized his attempts to impress were inadvertently pushing people away. This is a common pitfall. When you feel compelled to share knowledge or achievements, ask yourself, why? If your goal is to help others or contribute to the conversation, that's wonderful. But if it's to seek admiration or recognition, it's time to change. Boasting not only devalues your words, but also creates an invisible barrier between you and others. Instead of inspiring, you make them feel judged or compared. Stoicism offers a solution. First, let action speak louder than words. If you truly have knowledge, it will naturally manifest through your work and problem solving. Second, practice humility. Humility isn't about belittling yourself, but allowing others to discover your value through interaction and experience. Finally, listen. Listening not only helps you learn, but also shows respect and builds deep connections. Listening is a form of stillness that Stoicism values. John learned this lesson slowly, but deeply. He began talking less about himself and paying more attention to other stories and ideas. Instead of dominating conversations, he contributed humbly and listened more. Gradually, people sought him out, not just for his intellect, but also for his sincerity and collaborative spirit. He proved that knowledge isn't for showing off, but for sharing, for mutual growth. Avoiding boasting isn't about refusing to share knowledge, but sharing it respectfully and connectively. Stoicism teaches that words reflect inner character. Choosing humility over arrogance enriches your life and those around you. Ask yourself, what do your words say about you? The answer will shape your path of development. Number 2, don't make empty promises. Promises, seemingly as fragile as a silken thread, carry an invisible weight, shaping expectations, weaving trust, and building relationships. Yet, how often do we hastily make promises, light as a feather, forgetting that words must be weighed, measured, and fulfilled with heart and action? The habit of making empty promises, even unintentionally, is like a sharp knife, eroding credibility and shaking precious bonds. Stoic philosophy, a guiding beacon, reminds us integrity lies not in flowery words, but in sincere actions. Let's look at Greg's story, a man over 50, bearing the weight of both career and family. Greg, a kind-hearted man, tended to overcommit. He promised his colleagues he'd review reports by Monday, promised his family he'd be home for dinner, but time and again, he broke his promises. Initially, people were understanding, assuming he was simply too busy. But as broken promises piled up, so did disappointment. Colleagues doubted. Family grew weary of excuses. Greg's words, once trusted, now faded into a mere wisp of smoke. One evening, his teenage daughter left a note on his desk. "Dad, we just want you to mean it when you say it." That message pierced Greg's heart, making him realize that, despite his good intentions, his empty promises had caused too much hurt. Greg's story exemplifies the Stoic principle. Speak with intention, act with integrity. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Let your words be clear and true." A promise is not just idle talk, but a commitment tied to character. Breaking a promise, even unintentionally, is like writing a check that bounces. So, how do we avoid making empty promises while still building trust? Start with careful consideration. Before promising, ask yourself, do I have enough time, resources, and energy to fulfill this? If unsure, set realistic expectations. Instead of saying, "I'll definitely finish by tomorrow," say, "I'll try to finish by tomorrow, but if I need more time, I'll let you know." Another strategy is to promise less, do more. Set achievable goals and occasionally exceed expectations. Greg told his colleagues he needed 3 days to review reports, but finished in 2 days. Such actions speak volumes. And when you break a promise, bravely take responsibility. Apologize sincerely, explain briefly, and propose a solution. Greg learned this lesson. He became more cautious with promises, saying no when necessary, and ensuring he fulfilled what he promised. Gradually, colleagues trusted him again. Family saw his sincerity. Greg also felt more at peace, knowing his words carried weight and his actions proved it. Ultimately, avoiding empty promises isn't about seeking perfection, but about being genuine and reliable. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in integrity, where words and actions blend seamlessly. By living by this principle, you gain respect and build deep relationships. Because it's not the promises that define us, but how we fulfill them. And before moving on, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to stay tuned. If you love this content, comment, "I appreciate this wisdom." Let's continue. Number 3, don't deny your mistakes. Have you ever felt that admitting a mistake is like airing your dirty laundry, exposing your weaknesses to the world's judgment? I used to think so too, until an experience completely changed my perspective. Stoic philosophy taught me that admitting mistakes doesn't diminish your value, but rather affirms you as honest and strong. Marcus Aurelius said, "If anyone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in thought or action, I will gladly change. For I seek truth, and truth never harms." Let me share my story. A few years ago, I led a major project. In the rush of deadlines, I overlooked crucial details in a report. As a result, my team faced criticism from superiors. My first reaction was to make excuses, blaming workload, tight deadlines, anything but myself. But deep down, I knew that would only erode the trust I'd worked hard to build. I chose to confront it. At the next meeting, I admitted my mistake, apologized to the team, and outlined clear steps to prevent recurrence. People's reactions surprised me. Instead of judgment, they appreciated my honesty. Some even thanked me for taking responsibility and setting an example. I realized admitting mistakes didn't weaken me, but made me more trustworthy. Why is admitting mistakes so powerful? Because it breaks down defenses and builds trust. By taking responsibility, you send a strong message that you value truth over ego. You also create a safe space for others to admit mistakes and find solutions together. But let's be honest, admitting mistakes isn't easy. We fear judgment, fear losing respect. But think, does denying mistakes really improve your image? Or Does it make you unreliable? Remember, courage to admit faults is a sign of confidence. It shows you're strong enough to face truth and commit to improvement. How do you apply this lesson? Start with self-awareness. When things go wrong, resist blaming others. Ask, what was my role? Even if your fault is small, admitting it is the first step to resolution. Next, focus on fixing the problem. Don't just apologize and move on. Show through actions that you're working to rectify. Stoicism reminds us that mistakes aren't failures, but opportunities to learn and grow. Those who dare to admit mistakes not only improve themselves, but inspire others. By facing mistakes, you build a foundation of respect and trust. Next time you err, don't hide or evade. Stop, take responsibility, and commit to doing better. Remember, courage to admit mistakes truly sets you apart and earns respect. And finally, don't overshare future plans. Stoic philosophy reminds us that keeping promises is not just about fulfilling obligations, but also about protecting credibility and respecting others. Empty promises, no matter how small, can gradually erode your reputation and trustworthiness. Let's listen to this familiar story. Jim, a warm middle-aged man, is always willing to accommodate every request. From helping friends move houses, volunteering for extra projects, to attending every community event, Jim always has the answer. Sure, count me in. But as life gets busier, those well-intentioned agreements gradually become a burden. Jim starts to forget or cannot show up. One day, Jim accepts an invitation to a family dinner from a close friend. He enthusiastically agrees, but then forgets and schedules a meeting at the same time. The next day, the friend expresses disappointment. Jim realizes that his words, although well-intentioned, cause hurt. His promises, though not malicious, are empty, damaging valuable relationships. Jim's situation is a trap many fall into. We overcommit to avoid awkwardness, to appear agreeable. But Stoicism teaches that words must align with actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Authenticity and intention must be the compass for every promise. Saying yes reluctantly, out of fear of disappointing others, but breaking promises is even more harmful. So how do you avoid empty promises? Start by pausing to think before agreeing. Consider whether it fits your priorities, whether you can fulfill it. A polite no is more valuable than a hesitant yes. People appreciate honesty and clarity over vague commitments. Prioritize quality over quantity. It's better to commit to fewer things, but do them well than to spread yourself too thin. Once you promise, do it with intention and excellence. This builds a reputation for reliability and respect. Understand that saying no is not selfish, but self-awareness. Stoicism believes in focusing on what is within your control. Spreading yourself too thin diminishes your ability to fulfill important promises. When commitments are intentional, you protect your integrity and maintain trust. After a wake-up call, Jim becomes more cautious. He refuses requests he cannot fulfill, focusing on important commitments. His relationships improve. People respect him, not because he says yes to everything, but because he always fulfills what he promises. Avoiding empty promises is not just about keeping your word, but about aligning actions with values, building deep relationships. Stoicism reminds us that every word shapes how others see us and how we see ourselves. Next time someone asks for a commitment, take a breath, reflect, and ensure that promise is one you can fulfill. That's not just wisdom, it's strength. And finally, I sincerely thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful and meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support me in creating more quality content. Thank you very much.